Welcome back to Forbidden Knowledge News. I'm your host, Chris Matthew. Today my guest is Yossi Ronen. Before I bring him on, a couple of announcements. Coming March 11th, 12th, and 13th, we've got Forbidden Knowledge News Con. We're going to be featuring not 8, but 9 presenters now. The bonus presenter is going to be me, Chris Matthew. The title of my presentation is Spiritual Contact, Psychedelics, and the Unseen Revolution. You can get more information about mine and all the other presenters' presentations using that link in the description, or go to our website, forbiddenknowledge.news. The conference is going to be online with a Rokfin premium membership, and that means you get the entire conference for only $10. Just sign up through the link in the description or go to rokfin.com/FKN+. Get access to the conference. You get all our premium content, all the content from all the creators on Rokfin. Our new free episodes are always available on Rokfin, as well as Odysee and all podcast platforms. Our website, forbiddenknowledge.news, is the home of the Forbidden Knowledge Network. We feature amazing podcasts from our community. And be sure to follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. With the state of the supply chain at the moment, it would be a great time to invest in an emergency food supply from My Patriot Supply. They're the experts in emergency preparedness, and right now, if you order their emergency food, which stays good in storage for up to 25 years, you can get up to $100 off a 2-week supply. Just click the link in the description and get your emergency food today. Today, I want to welcome Yossi Ronen. He had a face-to-face encounter and communication with several extraterrestrials who appeared in his room when he lived in Los Angeles in 1981. The experience led his life on a new path. His interests have changed from studying science only to independent search and learning in areas related to the encounter experience phenomena. The self-taught learning study focused on psychology, New Age, philosophy, religions, body, mind, mysticism, Buddhism, the Bible, parapsychology, Kabbalah, and much more. He presented several exhibitions of paintings related to the encounter between art and spirit. For 2 years, he has written articles in the New Age magazine in Israel, articles directly or indirectly related to UFO and contact or meeting the visitors, such as alternative medicine, currents in mysticism, parapsychology, acceptance, and the ancient secret Hebrew language. Yossi, welcome. How you doing?
Well, great to be here with you. Thank you for your invitation.
Of course, it's great to have you on. I really enjoy when we can get insight about the nature of contact and these experiences from someone who's not only experienced it, but you've done what many people do after experiencing something profound, possibly extraterrestrial in nature. You completely shifted your life and interests, and I've done the same thing. I had a profound shift in my awareness and life after a contact experience, and everything changed after that for me, especially spiritually. But this is your first time on the show. I'd love to hear, let's start at the beginning. Tell us how this all started for you and about your first experience.
Well, okay. It was 40 years ago. I was 21 years old, and I came to visit my brother and to work with him in LA. And well, it after 3 months that I've been there, it happened in a day that we came back from work. Afternoon, it was a daylight yet, and we go to rest. My brother went to his room, and I was living in the living room. I had a bed there, and I started to fall asleep, and then it begins. Now it begins in a very special way. It was a little bit more complicated. It begins when I was totally sleeping. And what happened then, it was the first time that I was experiencing myself out of my body. It was like I'm watching my bed. I'm watching myself sleeping on the bed, and it was very pleasant experience of being out of my body, and and that was the first time that I saw them. Yeah. My awareness was I didn't have a certain body, you know. I was looking at my body sleeping, and I didn't have a figure of something that is above the bed. You know, I was just watching. It was a point of view of out of the body. And I saw 4 or 5 beings in the room. One was standing near my bed, very close, looking at my body, and the others were in the room, walking on the carpet, looking at things very joyfully and amused by being there and walking, and it seems like they were enjoying the feeling of being in a body. It was probably new for one or two of them. It was new to be in a body. And my feeling at that point of watching it all from out of my body was very relaxed, and it seems like I know them, and we are like, I know them for a long time now, and it was a very pleasant feeling, and we like communicate. I don't remember exactly what was the communication at that situation, but we were communicating and felt very good with each other. The one that was standing near my bed was concentrated on my head. I don't know what he did there. It seems like it was a good thing because I was aware and happy about what is going on.
Now, were these humanoid beings? Did they look just like you and me?
Not exactly. They have a body. They were like the pictures of the drawings of the grays, but they were very green. They were totally green with yellowish spots on their body. The skin was soft and not smooth. They didn't have hair. Their head was very big, and their eyes were very big. And they had a very small mouth and 2 holes instead of nose, and 2 holes in the sides of the head, like ears. And they were like children. They behaved like children. I felt them like children. They were very joyful. One of them was very skinny. The other one was different, a little bit more chubby. And at that situation, I woke up with my head to the wall. And I thought, what a weird dream that I had. With green creatures walking in the room. It was 81. I didn't have any interest not in UFO or aliens or spirit world, nothing. I was, very normal kind of life. And when I woke up and I thought about the dream, I was started to laugh because, the out of body was like a dream. I thought I was dreaming because I didn't had any out of body experience before. And I thought, what a weird dream I had, that I'm out of my body and I'm looking at my body and the other creatures in the room. And then I heard a noise behind me. Because I woke up with my eyes to the wall that my bed was close to, I didn't see the room yet. And when I heard the noise, I was a little bit tense because I thought, I knew my brother is sleeping in the other room and the door is closed. So I was a little bit afraid that maybe a thief came inside or something like that. So I turned around and sit on the bed. And then I saw them. And, you know, at the beginning, I saw that one that was standing near my bed looking at me. And it was half a meter than me, very close, watching me with his black eyes. And the feeling at that moment was the most fearful thing that I had in my life. I mean, it was a fear of death, or it was, my heart began to race, and I started to be frozen from fear because they were so alien. You know, I didn't saw any picture of them yet. There was no internet or something like that. Now the fear was very because of my confusion. You know, I thought maybe I'm lost my mind because I'm thinking that I woke up, but I'm still dreaming. I didn't have any way to understand what's going on. And then there were looks so different. You know, it's like totally not human and not animal and no nothing from here. And I really, at the beginning, I thought that maybe I lost my mind and I see something and I hallucinate something. And the beginning and the fear begins, it continues so much that I thought that I'm going to die now from fear because I was all frozen. It was very hard for me to breathe even. So I didn't have any other chance than to remember what I thought was a dream and to say myself, listen, a minute ago, everything was okay with them. I remember the dream that we were together and we were laughing. And I said to myself, maybe I will relax my fear for a second and I will try to understand what's going on. And in the minute that I lower my fear, I started to realize that creature that is standing near me is totally aware of my thinking and my fear and everything. Like, and it was frightening for itself. You know, I felt like a small ant near a big, strong something that is controlling my thoughts, controlling my body, controlling everything, and it was terrifying. So I started to try to realize more what's going on, and then the second thought that was that if I'm aware of that he is aware of my thoughts, I probably aware of his thoughts now. You understand? I started to realize that it's a communication, and it's not something that he forced himself on me. I realized that he was totally passive. But what happened is that in that situation, I could really I could like hear his thoughts or experience his emotions, and there is a totally connection between us. And when I realized that, my fear began to be much lower, and a curiosity begins, and I started to try to have that contact with him, with his consciousness that was connected to mine. So, I realized that I can feel him. I can realize what he thinks. So I let myself to be free and really have his consciousness in my awareness. And that was amazing. I felt that he's very innocent. I didn't felt any aggression. He was totally open to me, like he letting me to know his himself totally. And when I were inside his consciousness, I could experience the others in the room that were standing and realizing that I woke up with my eyes open and looking at them. I don't know if it was planned to be like that or it was an accident till now, but it probably was not an accident, but they were standing there looking at me, all of them. And when I felt their connection, it was amazing because first of all, I realized that me as a normal, usual human being can have this experience of connecting to other consciousness. And it was thrilling. It was a very joyful feeling to be one with to be open, totally open. And it's a very joyful connection that they have with each other, and in that moment with me too. Because they didn't have any borders between them. All of their feelings and thoughts were open to each other. And because of that, they were very calm and relaxed, and without, a kind of an ego, that normal ego that we have, that is like sometimes afraid that someone gonna hear my thoughts, or, they were totally themselves. They didn't have to hide anything from each other. And they were like one, but each one of them have his own character and consciousness. It's not that they were like one mind.
Yeah.
They were totally different beings that were connected in a very simple and open connection with each other.
It's very fascinating. Now, what other type of communication occurred during this instance? Did they give you any other messages, or did you have any type of discussions?
Well, it was very different because they didn't send me any words. The communication was not like we know with each other when we send words and the other
I know
one
exactly
here.
what you're talking about. I've had that psychic communication. It's like before you can even finish a thought, they're answering the question. It's like instantaneous, beautiful communication. Yeah.
You had a face-to-face communication.
No, it was
like
it was a more of a meditative experience where I made contact with an intelligence, a very loving intelligence as well.
Oh, amazing!
And, it happened a few times, but yeah, I know I know exactly how that works, and it's a beautiful, beautiful way to communicate.
And this, we call it telepathy because we don't have any other word for that. But I think most of us think about telepathy. If a person did not experience that, what we had with them, he thinks that telepathy is a kind of sending information to the other, and the other get the information and send his information. It was totally different. their communication is very instant, be one with, and you are free to go there and ask and have questions in the same seconds. I mean, it's not, it's like in one time, everything is connected and you can have whatever you want. And the communication, they don't talk. When you want to realize in a logical, rational way what is the communication, you translate it to words with yourself.
Yes.
And I think this is the reason why many people say they know my language or they speak my language. I think that they don't need any language because they speak straight to our inner consciousness. And because we used to have thoughts with words with our body, we translate it to words, and this is the way we understand that we are talking.
Yeah.
And what the first question that I had was, I was very curious where they came from. And my question was like, did you came from a different star? Being from a different star? And the answer was, this is my words, because the answer was without words, but what they let me understand, that other star for me is the most close way to translate someone that came from a very far place and different, but actually they came from a different dimension. Now, even the word dimension was my translation of what they meant. And I think it was even deeper than what we and I even understand about other dimension. It was deeper than that. And I think that all of my life from that contact, 40 years now, because it was such a strong and rich experience, I still learn from that. And I still curious to understand in a logical, rational way, who are they, how do they communicate, what they want from us. And I think it was the most important thing that I did from really deep love of doing, is that understanding and like research with myself of that communication and what the communication came after that.
Now, what do you think the relationship is between, say, just the entities you had contact with and the human race? What do you think the interest is?
Well, the basic thing that I realized is from the moment that I went out of my body, it's a very fundamental thing to relate to everything that is connected to them. Because when I understood that I am not only my body, and when I looked at my body, I realized that I can go and in and out of my bodies. And I realized that me, the actual me, is not dependent on the body. The body is just a vehicle for a time that I want to be there. So the real me is consciousness. And it's like people now say it's fundamental than the body. And I think that those beings are from the same level of consciousness. And I think this is what they meant. We came from a different dimension. So the way I look at that is that our consciousness, our real consciousness that we most of the time are not aware of that. We are like, most of the time we are aware from our senses in the body, and we are aware of our awareness, but we are not aware of our real consciousness that is not dependent on the body. So for your question, I think that they came from that dimension, that we are one with them, and that is our soul. Like, it's a name too, but I think that our inner consciousness that is not limited to the time of the body or the box of the body, this consciousness is eternal and is not limited to a place. And those creatures are from that dimension, and they have the ability to be in a body and go out. Now we do that too, because I think each soul that is born is doing that. Each one of us is. We are just not aware of that like them. They are like much more aware of what's going on than us, that have this experience in the body for a couple of years now.
Now, do you think that this is strictly a interdimensional experience? Meaning, are these beings physical in some reality, or maybe they are on a different planet, a different galaxy that is accessible through these dimensions, or maybe it's just such a multi-layered phenomenon that they are, they have non-physical beings in different dimensions, and then they have physical beings from different planets. I just want to get your thoughts on, do you think it's a completely different phenomenon that people are experiencing with, abductions or contact experience, versus something like you've experienced, more of a spiritual interdimensional contact? You hear the physical experiences where people actually, on operating tables, and maybe not the most pleasant experiences where their DNA or some type of fertility experiments, and they have experiences like yours which are much different. And I'm wondering if you think it's the same type of thing or different beings doing these things.
Well, I don't think that I know a complete answer for that. Even that I research and really had my very deep experience of connecting with them, still I don't have all the answers for that. But what I understood, that we are now on we are all experiencing now the journey of understanding them and us. And first of all, us, our really deep consciousness and soul and who we are. And we are doing that with their help, because they came from many, many people, and each one have a little bit different experience. And we all now sharing our experiences, and this is the way it should be, probably, for us to understand more and more about that. Because I think the presence is a little bit different than the way we can understand, or we are understanding now. Because I think that they came from a different dimension that is not a star, but they can have a body if they want. So they are physical and not physical. And for us, it's really hard to grasp it, because we want to know, are they physical or not physical? But it seems that there are both of them. And we should realize that we are too. We just don't aware of that, because we are physical and not physical at the same time. And we are managing that. So they are. So the experiences, the multi different experiences that we have with them, I think is connected to our personality of translating the communication with them, because we don't have any other choice than other to translate it. Because why? Because all of our understanding is from the body, from our mind, from our brain. That is really limited with our awareness of senses and the limited brain understanding of reality. And when we have an experience of other dimension, we have to translate it to our dimension. And we have to do it in a way that is like linked to what we experience, but we don't have word for that. And each one of us is relating his own translation. And it doesn't mean that there is a good or bad translation. It's all real translation of the real thing in a different way. For instance, I know now that the fear that I had in the beginning was very natural for my body to react in an instinct way to something that you don't understand. It's a very physical, normal behavior when you see something that you know it is very powerful, and you understand that you have to protect yourself, and immediately you have this fear of death. And if I was like cutting the communication in that instance of fear, and the contact was that was the end of the contact, I would stayed with that fear. And for me, they were like monsters. They were like evil creatures that try to control my thoughts and my body, and are very strong, and we have to be careful from them. So it's our consciousness that do the translation. And this is a very main thing that we all, I think, have to start to consider when we meet them, and started to really consider that we have more example of that many people that they have this clinical death have a very similar experience, because from a simple point of view, it's the same experience of yourself without a body. Because when you see the aliens, it means that your awareness is out of your body in a way. You are in your body, but you out of your body. That's why you can do it when you're doing a strong meditation, that you are like leaving your senses and you start to be aware of something that is not from the body. It's the same with the clinical death, because in that situation, your body is so weak that the brain is not forcing your senses to see, and you see what you have your experience beyond the body. But then the stories on that situation of the people that had this out of body experience or the clinical death are stories of angels, or the one that who is Christian see Jesus, the one that is a Jew, we see Abraham and Moses. And there are different people that see different creatures, family, grandmother, grandfather. And I think that these different stories came from the moment when we wake up from that situation of being out of the body, the brain remembers something very strong with lot of love that he had a minute ago when he was in a death situation that his body was not working, and you have to translate his memory in a way. And for one that his memory of love is his grandmother, he can translate it to his grandmother. And the other one that is very religious and believes in angel, he translated to angel. And they are not wrong. They all say the truth of their experience, because in that oneness of that dimension, everything is related. I mean, there is no difference between the angel and grandmother. They're all different ways of love that we translate to something that we understand and know. And I think it's related to the different interpretation that we experience when we contact those beings. It's the same.
Yeah, that makes sense. Now I want to go back to your first experience. How did this experience end, and were there any other profound experiences afterwards?
Yes, it was only the beginning. The experience with them took, I think, 2 minutes, because my body could not handle it. It was very strong. It's like, I don't know how to explain, a very strong vibration, or my body couldn't stand the connection for a long time. I felt that I'm going to die or lost my mind, or it was too strong. It's like electric shock that is not easy to be with for a long time. But on those 2 minutes, all the communication were endless, because it's like their consciousness is not limited by time or place. And what I experienced there was something that I can remember for a couple of books to write. It always flowing from that situation. If I want to concentrate and I do a meditation and go back to that situation, I can go and like remember more and more feelings and things that I saw, and so in that situation that I was connected to their consciousness, I felt something very, very strong, that I was very curious. And that thing was that, because I could have their feelings and their thoughts, I saw that I realized that they are connected and aware of something that is very loving, and like they are aware of something that gives them life, like a strong light of life, that they know that they live by him. Now, it took me a couple of years to say the word God, because at that time I could not relate it to our God the way we think about God and talk about God, because for them that thing that we say God was very basic understanding and knowing, like the air that we breathe every second. They're aware of it totally. And everything that they do, like helping human race or doing their things, was connected to that, because I felt that they are very happy and joyfully doing things that is connected to that light, that they know that preserve them and give life and everything around. It's like they're aware of the reality, of the source of the reality that we call God now. And I was very excited by that, and I was very curious, and I wanted to understand it. It's like I was asking them, what is that God? I say, now God, I know, what is that light? I was asking them. I wanted to understand it. And in the minute that they realized that I tried to understand it, they didn't tell me. I had a strong feeling that they are surprised by that, and they didn't want to let me go inside of that and try to understand that, because they don't understand that this God the way we tried, the way I tried. I tried to understand that God by trying to have a definition of it. And for them, this God didn't have any definition. It was all the reality itself. And I tried to understand it in my rational way, and they felt that I'm going to harm myself by doing that. So that was the reason for them to cut the communication between us. It was because they were afraid that I'm not going to hurt myself by going deeper into that thing that was the source of light that they are aware of. And when they decided to stop the communication, they gave me a sort of, I don't know how to call it, a vision, a movie that came to me in a different way. All the time till that vision, they didn't force me to see nothing. They were open to me, and I was like walking in their consciousness and looking for what I want. But in that situation, they started to give me something to see. Like they almost forced me to see. I gave them the permission to do that. But so what they let me see is that I suddenly saw myself in a green field in a beautiful day with beautiful big trees and the blue sky and birds and couple of cows near me, very near me, eating the grass. And the air was very fresh and smelled good. And then I heard a roar, and a burst of strong, big, high fire came from the horizon and burned everything, including the cows. And I was standing in that, movie, that I was in that movie, and started to feel very bad in a way that it was like it was my responsible to prevent it, and I didn't. And I felt very, very painful and sorrow of like I burned my house with my hands because I was not taking responsible of what's going on. And that was the end of the contact. They gave me a movie of, it was a kind of warning. It was not like see what's going to happen. It was be aware that this situation not going to happen, because it can be if you're not going to take responsibility for that it won't happen. So after that movie that they gave me to see from inside, they went to the end of to the other side of the room, and they hold each other hands in a circle and started to go in a circle like they are holding hands and go in a circle that started to spin very fast. That circle of them started to spin very, very fast, till it was so fast that it became like a white light, a circle of white light. And then that circle, that spin circle, came to be a small circle, and then that small circle came to be a point of light, and the light became so small that it disappeared from my eyes. And that's the way they disappeared from my eyes. I mean, I couldn't see them anymore. Now I understand what they done. It took me many years to realize what happened there in that situation, because in the beginning I thought it's something that I imagined. It was like a science fiction thing, you know, this situation. But now I understand that it had many levels of showing me something about them, about me, about my awareness, about my limitation of understanding, about my limitation of observing the physical world. And then they disappeared, and I shout from the body, my body relaxed, and the shout came out from my mouth, and my brother came, "What happened to you? Why are you shouting?" And I told him that I had a weird dream. I couldn't say nothing, you know. And I went and started to try to realize and try to understand what happened.
Has your understanding of what the messages is that they started to present to you from your first experience to now, has that changed? Has your understanding of what the communication is changed since the first contact?
Yes, it's very interesting because they didn't give me knowledge, they gave me experience. Because it was an experience, I had to do the understanding myself. And it seems that they meant it to be like that. They didn't want to give me understanding. They wanted me to understand by myself, by the experience. So the main thing was consciousness. And the first thing that they done was contact me in my two different way of consciousness. And this is the thing that I now for 40 years try to understand, because it's the main thing. And I think this is the main thing that they want us to be aware of, is the ability of our consciousness, or the nature of our consciousness. And I think they do it because this is probably the strongest thing for our evolution, our consciousness. And in any situation that I look now, even, you know, the dangers that our humanity have now in a war and things like that, I think that the only way for us to achieve peace is by each one of us to develop his consciousness. It's something that will prevent any ego and bad understanding of reality that give us this bad situation that we live now. I think that if each one of us will open his consciousness to realize who he is really and who we are, and will open his consciousness to the other one consciousness, the world going to be very different.
Yeah, I feel like that we could be on the verge of that change. We have a lot of people waking up to, the hidden reality that's been taken away from us for our entire lives, from, the hidden history to education to everything that we're finding out now. But it's also making people curious about other things such as spirituality and the hidden side of reality. And I think that it's, triggering something big in our world, and I think that it could be a great thing for our society, and it could change the way we view, extraterrestrials and contact and everything happening. I know the government has their own agendas, but I don't pay attention to that. I think it's people like yourself and people who have had contact and really looking at the truth for this information, and that's where we're going to get the real information from. Do you see that we are going to kind of go through a further awakening, maybe have an understanding of these beings in the near future?
Yes, I think that we all go in that road now. It amazed me this couple of last years what happened. For many years I didn't even talk about that because the people I knew that if I will tell my story, they will think that or I lost my mind or I took a trip or something like that. And now it's totally different. I can talk about that, and it's amazing. It's for me, it's something that I thought that I'm not going to be still living to see that, because I waited for such a long time. I realized it was truth. I realized all the things, but I didn't try even to talk about that because I saw the reactions, but now it's totally different. People start to be very curious and understand this is something serious that we try to understand. And I think that the aliens do that in a very slow way of not showing themselves totally. And they do it for us because the main thing or the important thing is our development, our consciousness that's going to develop because we are trying to understand, not because someone will tell us. The thing is our development, our ability to open our consciousness with ourselves, not the knowledge itself. And all of the things that we do now, like we're talking and sharing experiences, give us the ability to widen our consciousness.
Yes, I think you're exactly right. What are your thoughts on UFOs and the phenomenon that's being presented in that way? Like I said, the government and Pentagon and media have their own agenda with UFOs, and I'm sure a lot, maybe most of what we're seeing in the sky is ours, is our own military and black project experimental craft. But I don't know. Do you think that the UFO phenomenon is truly connected to what's happening with contactees, or is it something that it's just maybe a government psyop or experiment?
Well, I really don't know, because for all of these 40 years, I didn't see any UFO.
Yeah.
I mean, my experience was totally with the beings themselves, and this is all I can talk about. But from the stories that people tell and the similarities to my experience, I think that maybe there are some kind of appearances of these UFOs that the beings control by their consciousness. In my experience, they didn't have any use of UFO to go out of the room. They were, by their consciousness, they just disappeared. and people see UFO disappear. I think that it could be another way of them to show themselves, because they want to show themselves in this way, maybe. Because I heard many stories that they are like that people share their experiences, and they are very similar. So I wouldn't be surprised if part of the UFOs are real UFOs that they're being used.
Right, and you kind of alluded to, or more than that, that this phenomenon is connected to the afterlife and our soul and our consciousness. And the more I study this, the more I can see that there's profound connections to paranormal activity, the afterlife, and what's happening here. And I'm wondering if you think that it's possible that these beings, like you said, I think you did allude to, that they are us, and that maybe when we die, we are these entities, and we have the choice to interact with other humans at that time. I don't know. What do you think?
Yes, totally. I think that first of all of our understanding and the visual contact that we have now are translations. The real thing is still eluded from us, I think. But there is a strong, very strong connection to the life of the consciousness after leaving the body. And many other, like telepathy, is a way of connecting through our consciousness, not awareness. And all the remote viewing and all of this spiritual meditation, all connected to the same thing, is that start to use our inner ability of consciousness that is not limited to the body. And that's why the rules there are different. And you can do things and see things and understand things much more than in your limited body. And I think now science is getting it very in amazing way, that all the new science that admit now that they don't understand the rules of like the quantum behavior, and that it's against all the natural physical rules. I think it's a sign from that other dimension, because something that have different rule from our physical rules is other dimension. There is no other way to see it. And I think that science now start to realize that, and in a couple of years, I think that many more people are gonna look at the connection between the old spiritual world of understanding the spirit and understanding the small particle, and say this is spirit, because spirit is something very, very small. Mm-hmm. It's so small that you don't see it, and the particles are the same, and the rules there are the same. In the particle world, there is no limit, time or space, and the same in the spirit world. You can be open to the wide understanding of the oneness in your consciousness, because the consciousness is connected to that dimension, and the particles do behave the same. Like the scientists can see, these other rules that are connected to the spirit world. And I think we all going to join all of these things together, and the development of our consciousness going to be with all of it together.
Yeah, We definitely live in a fascinating time, and I'm excited
Yeah.
to see, the attitude of people towards some of these topics now. And I hope it, continues to expand other people's consciousness and get more people interested and maybe get some more answers out of it. And Yossi, thank you so much. That was fantastic. I think we kind of scratched the surface of some of this stuff, so I'd love to talk
Yeah.
to you again in the future. We'll get a little bit deeper.
Yes.
Before you head out, let the audience know where they can find out more about you, any websites, social media, all that stuff.
My website is yossironen.com. And I think the most maybe if you're curious to see more, and I write a book that summarized these 40 years of trying to understand the connection, and the book called One, Face-to-Face Contact, and you can find it on Amazon. And it's I think it's really gonna open the understanding for many people. I had many reviews that people say that they had a very strong experience of understanding their experience by reading this book. And I think that this is what we're doing to each other now. We're helping each other to understand ourselves by these experiences.
Yes, that makes a lot of sense. And Yossi, thank you so much. That was fantastic. And like I said, we'll definitely be talking again in the future.
Great, Chris. Thank you for this opportunity. Thank you very much.
Yes, that was great. And until next time, everyone, have an excellent evening. We'll be talking again later today.